Keep in mind this podcast is meant to provide general information and is not meant to replace having your car seen or serviced at a qualified shop. Hi, and welcome to Good Karma Podcast, where we demystify cars one conversation at a time and provide peace of mind instead of panic when it comes to what's going on under the hood. Today's episode is Your Car Breathes. We don't always think about cars in terms of breathing. We know we feed our gas tank. We know that the car consumes fuel like food. And of course, we know that without enough gas, the car is going to die. But if there's not enough air, the car is seriously going to struggle too. And if it's bad enough, the lack of air can cause the car to stall. Same as running out of gas. So whenever your car is on, air is being pulled into the engine. Before it gets to the engine itself, it's funneled through an air filter to block dirt. And so if that filter accumulates enough dust, which it will over time just from normal driving, it's going to get coated with this dust and the engine's going to have a hard time breathing through that filter. Same as a vacuum cleaner. You're not going to be able to get your carpet cleaned through the dusty, gross filter. Air is just not going to get through it. So your car with the dirty filter is going to have to work harder and harder, and it's just not going to have as much power. It's like your car is gasping, and eventually you'll feel it. It'll be harder to run. The car will have less oomph. So I want to encourage everyone to keep an eye on your air filter. It's something really easy to check in many, many cars. It's usually located in a big plastic box, the air box, and it's usually pretty accessible when you open your hood. Or just next time you bring your car in for an oil change, be sure to have them checked. You don't need to feel like that's an oversell if someone's suggesting that you change your air filter. I mean, sure, if you just had it changed and someone tells you to change it, they're probably overselling it to you, but it's legit a critical component and they will have to be changed repeatedly through the life of your car. Every other oil change, every 10 to 12,000 miles. Check with your trusted mechanic or online and see what's right for your car. There's other things that can affect the intake of air. One example is the throttle body or throttle plate can get dirty as well, which is the little, like a door in the engine. When you press on the gas, that's what opens up and lets more and more air in. We'll talk about that component another time, but just super basics is your air filter. And I mentioned the air filter box. The box itself, if you take out the air filter and look inside the compartment that's sitting in, you should check that as well because you can find leaves, feathers, all kinds of stuff in there that would be important to clean out as well. So the air coming into your engine has to be clean, but it also has to be measured so that the car knows how much fuel to match along with that. Because remember, the car is always striving for this one perfect ratio of air to fuel. 14.7 parts air to 1 part fuel for those of you who like numbers and math. And it's always trying to maintain that number. So that amount of air has to be measured. And many, many cars have, not all, some use a different method, a mass airflow sensor that comes right after that filter. And that's going to tell the car how much air it senses coming in. So the important thing about keeping your air filter clean is not just so that your car can breathe and dirt doesn't get into the engine, but also so that dirt doesn't get onto that sensor, because that's super important. If that sensor gets dirty, the measurements will be incorrect. And you will notice it in the way the car runs, and the engine light could come on and could give you codes related to air or related to the MAF sensor itself. I'll go into specifics about these codes in a separate episode. So now I'm going to share my conversation with Sean of Station of the Stars in Los Angeles, where we talk more about air filters, MAF sensors, and more. Really great to have found your shop.
Glad to have you here.
The thing that made me so happy that you told me when we were first talking was that you really value your customers understanding what's going on with their car. You don't want it to be a mystery.
Absolutely.
You like them to see for themselves.
Yeah.
And have them come in.
Yeah. The more informed the customers are, the easier the job for us.
Yeah.
So getting that information across normally involves a little bit of explanation and visually when people get to see what we're talking about and get an idea, it makes a difference.
Yeah, and I'm sure it encourages fosters customer trust and loyal customers.
Absolutely.
So today's episode I'm calling Your Car Needs to Breathe.
Sure does.
And so we all know that the car needs gas, but air is just as critical.
Fuel does not burn by itself unless there's a very precise amount of air that it's mixed with it. And that mixture, once it's inside the engine, inside the combustion chamber, and the force cycle takes place, and that's how you gain that power from the engine. Back in the day, that measured air wasn't so precise. You had carburetor designs and components like that that wasn't required to measure that precise amount of air. So lots of air came in, lots of fuel went in, the car ran, and the more fuel, the better it was. So now that mixture is controlled by the computer, and the computer decides how much fuel to add or how much fuel to take away. And that's precisely based on how much air enters the system. And that air is going inside the engine is measured. And it does that with the help of mass airflow sensor. It's a tiny little guy, but super, super important and crucial to overall engine operation and efficiency.
And it's crucial and it's also very delicate.
Absolutely, because there are these tiny little wires inside, and the reason some of these sensors it may send wrong information is due to dust and debris, and you can barely find a mass airflow sensor that the wiring inside has been damaged unless somebody has removed it, tried to poke around inside, and it damages. But generally speaking, it's related to dust, debris, things in that nature, or sometimes the sensor itself just fails. The sensor is normally located in the engine compartment up top, where the air box into the intake, and there is a boot, and normally it's designed to be right around there. Like we have this Toyota Tacoma, and you can clearly see airbox. And immediately right after, we have the mass airflow sensor, because this is the very first thing that the computer is looking at in terms of elevation, air density, air volume, air temperature, and collects all this information. And it decides, okay, now I'm going to have to add this much fuel, or the car is cold start, so on and so forth, or it's up in the elevation, or it's by the sea, and so it changes the air fuel ratio based on the information of this little sensor.
And so then moving backwards, the mass airflow sensor is immediately after the filter, which leads us to why the filter is also so important.
Absolutely, because that's the air. It's like I'm trying to breathe and having a cloth over my mouth and trying to breathe in and out, it's going to be very difficult. And that air filter plays a role like that. So if that filter is clogged or partially clogged, that it's going to affect the amount of air that it's entering the system. And therefore, the computer decides, oh, look, I'm not seeing enough air. So it takes the fuel away, creates all kinds of conditions like lean condition, which means, oh, I'm seeing a lot of air, but not enough fuel, or vice versa. When the computer thinks that it's getting a whole lot of air as a full throttle, and it's like, oh, look, I'm getting all this air. So here's the fuel for it. And that creates a rich condition, which is a lot of gas and not enough air. So these are the typical conditions that you encounter with mass airflows, and it is up top. It's very easy to access.
So what would be some issues if the car is running rich that could build up long term?
Running rich, basically, the immediate effect is going to be the fuel that went inside the engine, and some of that fuel is still raw fuel. It didn't get burnt up completely in the combustion chamber, and the leftover of that fuel comes right out the exhaust. And the first thing that's on its way is the catalytic converter,
Right.
which is a pretty expensive component.
Right.
And enemy number one for a cat converter for the oxidation beds inside is raw fuel, which melts these oxidation beds and creates partially clogged up catalytic converters, and immediately affects the efficiency of the cat converters, and also air fuel ratio sensors on the way, oxygen sensors on the way.
They can start getting contaminated.
Absolutely, getting contaminated and all that. But some of the most expensive one is going to be the cat converter.
And if a sensor is dirty, that is a pretty good, easy DIY that people can clean themselves for the most part, would you say?
For the most part, yes. Reading up on the information of every vehicle is very important
Yeah.
to become familiar on the sensors and where it's located, the wiring to the sensors. Uh, they're not cheap, so removing one and cleaning it, if you don't know what you're doing or how to do it, it could damage that sensor. Instead
Sure.
of being proactive, cleaning something, it turns into, oh, now I broke it, I have to change it.
Yeah.
And they're not cheap. Some go to $400 or $500, depending on the cars. Now, the material and these wires, they're very delicate inside these sensors. So it's definitely not suggested to to poke in there and try to clean up. There are specific type of sprays. They call them mass airflow sensor cleaner. And it's designed to have that material to just spray in and be able to clean up some of that dust. And for testing purposes and preventive actions, we do use those sprays to clean up.
And as far as changing your own engine air filter, on a lot of cars, that can be really, really easy to do.
Absolutely. That's suggested. We suggest every other oil change.
Okay.
Air filters should be checked out. Air and cabin filter, engine air filter. It's more crucial
Yep.
compared to cabin is something that obviously filters the air for the drivers inside the car. But in terms of performance and engine operation, yes, a simple engine air filter could make a huge difference.
Oh, which leads me to a question I really wanted to ask you is, have you ever had a customer come to you after being at another shop, having been told they had a huge repair they had to make, and it turned out it was just something much simpler like an air filter or
Yes,
the
you'd be
map sensor?
surprised how many cases we get like that. That either other shops or dealer manufacturers, they recommend certain stuff, and we have the car here for preliminary diagnostics, and we find out it actually does not need a major repair, and we're looking at some very simple components. So yeah, we do encounter issues like that a lot. It's very easy to overlook things like this, and it's an easy fix. It's not an expensive one.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, they go for the bigger repairs, bigger numbers, and it gets overlooked, easily. And we see it a lot, actually, quite a bit. Actually, with today's cars, that the computers are extremely precise with that air fuel ratio. And number one would be that mass airflow sensor. Now, there are cases that the car is designed to have MAP sensor instead of mass airflow sensor, which stands for manifold absolute pressure sensor. Instead of measuring the volume of the air that it's going in, the MAP sensor measures the vacuum inside the intake manifold. And based on that information, calculates, oh, I'm under load or not, or I'm idling, depending on that vacuum reading. So there are two types normally, either mass airflow sensor or manifold absolute pressure sensor. I've also seen cases that the car is equipped with both.
Yeah, that's an important thing to mention is that not all cars will have a mass airflow sensor.
Yeah.
So don't go buy that spray to clean it before you're sure you have
Yeah,
one.
that's why doing the homework, reading up on that particular car you have.
That
Tons of information is available online if you don't have the booklet to the car. So reading up on the manufacturer recommendations is super important.
Yeah. Oh, and so what would be some symptoms that a driver might feel that they should start thinking, I wonder if I should check this out?
Oh, most of the times, if there is a damage within that sensor because it is computer controlled, after 4 cycles, the computer will trigger check engine lights.
Okay.
So that's a clear indication there is a malfunction in the system somewhere, and to look for it. Now, there are cases that the sensor is still working, but it's defective, but it's still working. It hasn't triggered a check engine light, and it affects general operation of the car and could easily have symptoms like lack of power or stalling, or that it's having a hard time keeping idle, because idle air control also works hand to hand with mass airflow sensor. Lack of power, you accelerating and it feels like it's sluggish. It's not there, or there's a delay between acceleration and actual throttle body moving and you feeling the car going forward.
So if someone starts feeling their car being sluggish, it's best not to wait for the engine light to go on. You probably should bring it in as
And
soon as you
always
can.
stick with the basic stuff first. Easiest thing to access is going to be your air filter.
Yeah.
So pop that air box open. If you see visually, you take that air filter out and you see dust and debris behind that air filter, most likely that sensor is dusty, and that's going to affect the performance of the sensor. Again, keep up with the regular maintenance. Establish a relation with a dealer that could see your car on regular basis. A lot of today's cars are a lot more efficient. So a normal service involves maybe once a year. So that's pretty much all you have to do. If it's a good shop, and you know you have established a relationship there and they have some history on the repairs, so they can go back to the history, see what's been done at the prior repair, follow up on certain recommendations, being well informed about the vehicle, being able to communicate with the cars nowadays is super important. So having a basic type of scanner maybe, or a code reader, that could help. You don't have to go with the fancy thousands of dollars expensive scanners that we buy. You can use a $20 code reader literally to just retrieve information, because that's all you want to retrieve. First, you want to gather all that info that is recorded in the memory in the computer. And then there are codes that you can translate those codes into different systems on the car, and that check engine comes on for various different stuff. Even a loose gas cap could trigger that check engine on.
Right.
So having the right information retrieved from the vehicle, super important.
I'm so glad you're saying that because I really want to help people get acquainted with using scanners and not feel like that's beyond them in any way. Like basic scanners will help you learn a lot
Totally.
and be a little more in control of just how you're going about getting your car repaired.
Absolutely. And here's a new one. I just purchased one not too long ago. So normally you have these code readers that involves a scanner of some type and a connector to the OBD2 interface, which is normally under the driver's steering, or by the driver's side underneath the dash. And now a wireless version of this guy, plug that in. There is no cable, there is no wire. It communicates through Bluetooth, and I got a little app on my phone that if I'm monitoring the operation of the car, basically I plug this in, I open my app, and boom, it gives me all that info. This is a newer version of these code readers, and having one of these plugged into your car, I find it very efficient, because it's an app that it's going to be on your phone and it gives you the alerts. Like there's a little message comes up on your phone, oh, such and such system has a fault code, or it's encountering some type of issue. So that gives you that heads up, gives you that alert, looking at it. So you're informed about what's going on. And tomorrow you're driving to uh, Santa Barbara, and all of a sudden that check engine comes out. You're like, oh, I remember 2 days ago, my app showed me a fault code related to something, something.
Yeah.
So this way, you're always communicating with your car, and you have all this information in hand. Based on that info, you can make decisions. Knowing preliminary info on that fault, it could guide you towards making a decision on, "Oh, what am I going to do? Oh, this is serious, or
Right.
maybe it's not that serious. Oh, I just left the gas cap off." So you don't have to, like, oh, I need to pull over and tow my car.
Exactly. Yes. I'm so glad you're saying this about the scanners because I'm a big fan.
I use them all the time. I do drive cycles, and I find this application thing on the phone really handy.
I can't thank you enough for
My
taking
pleasure.
the time
Anytime.
to talk with me.
Anytime. Thank you for coming by and putting all this info out.
Oh, absolutely. LA people, definitely look up Station of the Stars,
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Pico and Beverly, and I'll put the address and the link to the shop in the show
Fantastic.
notes.
We appreciate you.
And hope to stay connected with you.
Absolutely. Be happy to.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I'm so glad I got to speak with Sean. He is so kind and genuine and really does care that customers stay informed. And he's very happy to be putting good information out to the world. So I will definitely do some more episodes with him. Local people, he's at 9448 West Pico, right in the Pico Robertson area. And if you call or stop by, ask him about the Good Karma discount he can offer you. So as always, I'm hoping to provide some peace of mind to drivers. A couple of peace of mind pointers from today's episode. Keeping a low price scanner in your car is a wonderful way to have a little peace of mind if a check engine light does come on. Second is if your car does start to drive a little off, stick to the basics first. Check your air filter. Know that it's possible that you can change that yourself in many, many cars. And lastly, the mass airflow sensor is critical to your car driving well. So that's an easy thing to clean. It can get to the point where cleaning doesn't help anymore and it does need to be replaced. And even that can be a nice do it yourself. So check out some videos online and see if you're comfortable with that or bring it into your trusted shop. Thanks so much for listening. If you liked anything you heard here today, I'd love to hear from you. Drop me a note at goodkarmapodcast@gmail.com. If you are a shop owner or an automotive professional and you'd like to spread some good karma, please reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you too. Please be sure to give 5 stars, follow, tell your friends, do whatever you can to spread some good karma. Keep up with those oil changes and talk to you soon.